Thank you so much for joining us on the Dwellynn Show. I'm your host, Ola Dantes. I've got an incredible guest with us today, Justin. How are you doing, sir?
Excellent. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Can't wait to get into our conversation today. So let's jump right into it. So tell our listeners, who Justin is, what have you been doing, and kind of what I've been doing lately, actually.
All right. So I got into real estate investing about 2011. At the time, I was working full-time as an accountant at a private equity shop and knew I wanted to do something else and start my own business, but didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I came across real estate investing. And I was like, well, I know the numbers really well, but I don't know the construction. And luckily, my father was a contractor for about 35 years. So he was like, well, let's just team up and we can start doing that. And then, after you get a feel for it, then you can kind of go on your own. So we bought our first property in 2011 to rehab that property. And I think we made maybe $11,000. And meanwhile, I thought it was a success. And he was like, oh, man, we need to make more money if we're going to keep doing this. But over time, as we continue to do it, we refined our process and got better and better. I was able to identify, better properties and do a lot of my, be in charge of my deal flow and go to home sellers directly instead of going on the market. So that was kind of always my key focus, especially because I was working for 5 years while doing real estate investing. And I needed to manage my time properly and get in front of sellers as efficiently as possible. So I did that for about 5 years, rehabbing, a lot of wholesaling. And then over the years, I started to increase kind of my niche. So I went from entry-level homes where price points are much lower to mid-level homes, then to high-end, then high-end new construction. And then I ultimately ended up in Boston, where I live near, doing high-end multifamily condo conversions, as well as wholesaling. So I've focused mostly on that since 2011. In 2016, because I really did get very good at finding my own deal flow and building that through direct mail. I started a company called Open Letter Marketing, and it was really based on the fact that there was a huge void in the market. And at the time, everyone was doing yellow letters, and that was the only thing that was offered. So through my strategies that I developed, I found that my strategy and the way that I implemented direct mail got way more responses than my competitors were getting. So I knew that nobody else offered this, so I wanted to offer it to other investors around the country. And since 2016, we helped thousands of investors working with direct mail and getting them better responses and helping them with market strategy and all of that. So that's been really exciting. And as of lately, I've been focused on software. What I do is basically whenever I have a need, I create it, and then I start to see if other people are interested in using it, because I am very much process driven. And if I have a really good process that other people can utilize, I solve it in my own business and then offer it out to other people. And over the years of working with people at Open Letter on marketing strategy and really the sales pipeline, we noticed that a lot of people don't have a very effective means of marketing and also bringing their sellers through a proper pipeline. So the last year and a half, we've been developing Invelo, which was built to help investors scale their business. And even if they're new, it helps them understand that. And we do that with software, education, and community. Those are the 3 pieces that we implement. So we don't look at it as much as a software product. We look at it as a platform where software is just one of the 3 items. So that's what I've been focused on lately, and we're looking to bring that to market in March. So, wow, very exciting.
Yeah, no, I was taking so many notes. So first and foremost, you started Open Letter Marketing? Was that you?
I did.
OLM?
Yes.
Oh my
Yep.
goodness. I felt like I just met a celebrity. I think I've used your site in the past. Yeah, really.
That's awesome.
Yeah. When you said, I was like, oh, it's you. Wow, that's amazing. Actually, that's a really good platform. That's
Yeah, thank
fascinating.
you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. That's awesome. So yeah, let's kind of go back to the beginning. I want to ask you this question. So you said you were working at a PA firm. Basically, things were not bad. Why were you trying to get into real estate? I mean, I want to kind of just, for those listening. Yeah.
Growing up, my father owned his own business. My uncles did own their own business. My brother started his own business. I had a lot of entrepreneurial spirit around me. And I always had people that were, they were always not pushing me, but always wanted me to find my path and what I wanted to do. And I always wanted to be on the deal side when I was at the PE shop. And I actually thought a lot about going back to school to get my finance degree so I can shift from back office to working on deals. But then I was married at the time and I was like, I'd have to travel all the time and I wouldn't see my family. So then, real estate came up. And as I was growing up, my father would always take me into the properties that he was building. And I was like, this is amazing. Like I truly felt that he was an artist and he was just his medium was lumber. And I was like, it's amazing what you can build and people live here and like they can raise a family. It's amazing. You're creating art that people can live in. So I always had kind of that feel for it, but I never wanted to be a contractor and deal with retail people. But when I saw real estate investing, I was like, wow, that really meshes in exactly what I love. I love numbers. I love talking to people. I like creating deals. But I also want to learn construction. So that was like a perfect marriage that I was like, I'm going to try this. And my father was like, let's go. Like, I'll help you out with that. Whatever you need, I'm there for you. And when you're good to go, just, buy me out of the business and I'll continue to help whatever you need with.
Yeah, that's a really, really good one. Yeah, that I really love that answer. Just like trying to know yourself and trying to know because I feel like this is what happens. People watch like a little bit of like HGTV and they're like, oh my God, I want to flip a house, but just never really like stepping back and trying to figure out like, well, where do I want to plug into this and not understanding that this is a teamwork and I wouldn't have all the skills. I really like that. You also said something that was pretty cool. You said that you were working, right, for 5 years. A lot of people have this question of, should I quit my job and just like, as they say, burn the boats or just jump in? But you kept working for 5 years before you finally made that decision. So can you kind of walk us through why, I don't want to say it took 5 years, like it was a long time or a short time, but why 5 years?
Yeah, my nature is I'm conservative by nature. So for me to jump, and especially at the time, I had a wife and 2 kids, and my wife was home with the kids. So I needed to make damn well sure that this worked for me. And I wanted to make sure, like, real estate was always good to me. Finding deals came very naturally. Talking to sellers was great and easy, but it's really funny because I didn't realize until the time that it just got to a point that I couldn't do everything. There was a point in time that I was slacking on real estate and I was slacking working with my employer. And I knew there was a decision point that I was like, I cannot continue doing this. So I either need to leave my full-time job or leave real estate. And one of the big pieces, and I always tell this to people, is make sure you have whoever it is, your spouse, you're a sibling, whatever, you have support. Because there's no way that I could do this without the support of my wife. Because it was at that point that she said, you've been working so hard to get to this point, to quit your job, because the future, the vision for us was you can start your own job, business, and then you can have more time to spend with the family. And she's like, if you don't jump, you're never going to know if you can make it or not. So she was like right there with me. And we decided, I have to leave my full-time job. It's not fair to them. And once I did, and I was able to focus on real estate, within 3 months, I made more than I would have made in my accounting position with real estate. The ability to focus on something like, I didn't realize how important it was until it actually came, like that happened. And man, the business just skyrocketed from there.
Wow. Wow. Thanks for sharing that. That's really important. I'm trying, I try my best to be in the the show of the listener. Like, what do they want to hear? I want to dive deep into Envelop, but that'll be towards the end. But you also mentioned something that you partnered with your dad. You were finding deals. You did the first one. You made 11,000. You're like, oh my goodness, this is good. And then you said you got better identifying properties. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because for those listening to this, they might think, well, how do I do that? How do I identify properties?
Yeah. I mean, since I started investing, again, I love numbers. I love getting into the weeds. I love data. So for me, once I started finding properties, especially with direct mail, I started to look at the data like, all right, so this deal came from here. How can I get more of these properties that pop up? So I started diving into the data to identify like what my best lists are, where they come from, if they're certain areas. And I started to really narrow my list down and work them I really spent a lot of time on my data before I was even marketing. So I'd always refine the lists of who I want to market to, so that when it does come to marketing, where I'm spending a lot of time and money on it, I already have a sound foundation. I know these leads are going to be good. So I got really good at identifying that data and putting it together, so that when I did start to market, then I would come to more deals. And also, like, when you start, I guarantee I lost out on like tens or even hundreds of deals, because when you start, you have no idea what a deal looks like at all. But as you start to improve and talk to more sellers and go on seller appointments and do a deal, your second deal, things start to click, and you're able to identify deals over the phone much quicker. So becoming much better at, talking to sellers, negotiating, all of that, things just start to click and mesh, and you get better and better.
And then you get more money to buy those deals. Yeah, that's the most important piece. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I really like that you mentioned the deal flow piece. Are you kind of getting those deals? And you talk about direct mail, which is still considered, people still think it's kind of an old school way of doing things. Some people talk about just AdWords and Google and stuff like that, but I'm a big believer in direct mail myself. So just talk a little bit about, how your deal flow worked. You mentioned briefly that you kind of niche in a little bit, but what else helped you in terms of just getting, the sellers to basically agree to sell to you?
Agree to sell to me? So on the negotiating side or marketing side?
You can cover that. We can cover both.
Okay. So again, like right now, what I recommend to people is if they're going to go direct to seller, like I was mentioning before, they start with their data and understand it. The better that they can narrow down and really focus on the lists that they think are going to provide the best results, do that and start marketing there. Because, when you get to be an advanced investor, even advanced investors don't have good strategy around how they're marketing. They'll pull a list and they'll spend the same amount of money to all of those prospects evenly. But if you looked at the data, you're going to find that, some people were on like a driving for dollars list or a tax lien list that I would rank as a higher quality list. Whereas like an equity list is probably like a lower quality list. So what I always try to advise is like, break down your list and identify which ones are your high, medium, and low quality lists. And then you can still use the same marketing budget, but now just allocate differently to those different buckets. So spend 60% of your marketing budget on the high quality, 30% in your medium quality, and 10% in your low quality. Still the same marketing budget, but your ability to get in front of the highest quality prospects is going to go up, which theoretically will increase your ROI. So that's where I focus. And then I bring that through to my marketing, where I always create campaigns. It's never just a one-off marketing piece that I send to them. It's always a conversation that I have with them. So I will create either a 4 or 5 touch piece mailing campaign, where it's almost like I'm having a conversation with the seller, because I truly feel like before you even talk to a seller, you're building rapport with them through your marketing. And they're either going to get a good feeling or a bad feeling. And if they come to you already with a bad feeling, your ability to negotiate and talk to them, you have to like battle what you've already done through your marketing. So I always focus on like, how is this, what is the seller feeling when they receive this mail piece? And that's where we spent a lot of time. And I spent a lot of time on like, design, color, wording, how to, write the font style, all of that stuff, the messaging. That's where we spent a lot of time on to find out what works best. So that's what I do. I create a campaign that almost talks to the seller. And then when they call in, I mean, it's more of a conversation. So I'm identifying, for me, it's always about identifying their need. Like my ability to close a deal is going to be directly impacted by how I can solve a problem. So I always try to understand the root issue or situation that the person is in, that I can help them out with. And generally that takes about, 3 to 4 layers deep before they actually tell you the real story. So if you ask somebody, why are you interested in selling? Oh, I'm just looking to move out of the area. Okay. Like, how long have you been thinking about selling? I've been thinking about, for the last year. Okay. Is there a reason that you're looking to move now? So you just keep on asking these questions, and then you get down to the root cause of like, they just maybe got a divorce and they need to get out of the house and out of the area to get away from their spouse or whatever it is. So your ability to really understand their problem will directly, and you can create a solution that directly helps them, is going to increase your chances of solving that or closing the deal. And there's plenty of times where your ability to talk to sellers, I mean, I've offered people much lower than my competitors have, and I still got the deal because they really felt like I understood them and I built that rapport with them.
That's almost like just perfectly the answer I was looking for. So I really appreciate that. Really
Awesome.
appreciate that. Yeah, I've got some other things I would like us to talk about, but I'm not sure we have enough time. So you mentioned multifamily condo conversion. That's fascinating. Yes. But I think we want to kind of move to kind of what you're doing now with Invelo. So let me ask you this. So you founded Open Letter Marketing, OLM, I think that's what it was called,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. Right.
And now you've got Invelo. So, and then you have your real estate investing, activities. How are you balancing, kind of all this, projects?
Yeah, good question. So the first thing was on the real estate investing side. So most of the deals that I do now, I generally partner with other investors that are now friends of mine. So if I have to go through any renovations or project management, they do all that, the whole piece of it. So I don't have to manage any aspect of that. So I've kind of whittled down my time and really partnered with the right people to make sure that all the projects are moving in line. So that's on the investment side. For Open Letter, over the years, it's grown to a point where we're able to have a lot of employees in there, and as well as I was able to backfill myself I have a COO now. So my COO, she runs the whole business, all the daily operations, and I'm there to provide, support with any strategy, any sales outreach, talking to new customers, all of that. So my time there has definitely decreased, and she's taking over as COO and managing all the day-to-day, which allows me to really take 90% of my time has been focused on Invelo for the last year and a half.
Interesting. I wonder if you're looking for, an acquisition for OLM, just a random conversation. Maybe that's after the show. So let's dive into Invelo. So tell us a little bit more about Invelo. Why is it different to obviously OLM and kind of what you've been doing? Why didn't you combine the two? Just kind of give us an overview of this software.
Yeah, sure. Again, going back to what I see in the market, and just solving a problem. And over the years, real estate investing technology has started to be more common in real estate investing, with the different CRMs that are coming into the space and other platforms. But I still see a really big void, and I see a lot of strain on investors. And it does span the whole sales pipeline for them, because most people need multiple platforms to do what they need to do to span their whole cycle. So they might need a platform to start to build lists, and then to start marketing, they need another platform to manage their lead flow, the people that the sellers that they're talking to. And then they still need another system to manage their like project management and the deals that they have under contract and all of that. So there's all these different systems. And then the other piece of it is most people are not techie. They don't know software. So they have to learn this. And my feeling is that somebody's only going to be good as much as they know how to use the platform. And also they want to need a community. Like, community is really important as you're an entrepreneur, because you'll always have these questions in your head, like, man, this is tough. I don't know, am I the only one that's going through this? And once you realize that everybody goes through the same thing, you get your confidence back and you feel much better and you can do more. So I feel that community is really important piece. So what we decided to do is in Velo, on the software side, we've combined the whole sales pipeline. So you can pull lists, you can manage prospects, you can segment your prospects to identify your best quality leads, you can market, you can do different campaigns where you send text, direct mail, ringless voicemail, email, like in any sequence. It's extremely flexible. You can manage your lead pipeline, you can manage your deal pipeline, you can do all these things, and it's built on best practices. So for a newbie where they don't know like what they actually need to do and focus on, the software helps guide them through that process. And we spent a lot of time. I think we spent about 6 months just on prepping to identify the UI to make sure it was as intuitive as possible. And from that, it's just a system like nobody's seen before, which I'm really excited about. So with the software, we also have the education piece, which is a critical aspect. It's not and we're not looking at this like that's like secondary to the software. So we have right now 2 forms of education. One is where internally myself and some other investors created real estate investing education that spans the whole. Like, if you're new to investing, you watch this series and you'll have a very good idea on everything from how to build lists, how to market, how to talk to sellers, how to put contracts together, how to put deals together. So we have an actress. It's a very high level production value. So we do that, and that's offered to all of our users. And then we also have master classes where we bring in industry experts that really deep dive into different segments within the business. And we're not just looking at business, we're looking outside of that, because as a real estate investor, real estate agent, entrepreneur, there's things outside of the business that you still need to have a good, you need to understand. So in addition to like providing education around, how to get deals, how to do deal analysis, all of that, we also have it about mindset. And then like how to be able to juggle, a business while you have a family, and how to stay, healthy. So we have master classes that bring in experts from all different industries to really hone in on that, so people can grow themselves not only just as an entrepreneur, but personally too. And then the community brings everybody together so everyone can share and learn from each other.
Wow, that's just fantastic. I don't think I've heard of prop tech company helping with mindsets, and actually you mentioning health and family. I think a lot of us, we just we forget that piece, because we just go. Yeah. And we say we're doing this for our family and our kids, but we're not spending time with them. It's like it's an oxymoron.
So true.
Yeah, it's like I'm doing this for my family, but you're never at home. Like, what are you doing it for? Your ego or your family?
Yeah, and that's so true. Like, I was just talking to someone else about that. Is everybody says like that's their why is like family, but then they get to a point of like, where back 10 years ago when they were thinking about success, they probably would have said that, okay, I'm at the point where I feel like I'm successful, but they keep on pushing and driving. And that's a natural thing that people go through, but really understanding like your why and some people feel guilty that they're not spending time with their family, and they're spending more time with their, at their business. But just understanding, like, that's okay for some people. You have to like understand that. But for me, it truly is like personally, family time is always important. Like last year, it was like the best year of my family's life, I think, because we traveled like 200 days of the year. And we were able to do that while managing all this stuff. And we got to that, we set that goal. And I don't think it would have happened without like COVID happened. So everything shut down. So we were able to travel more. But since then, we've been doing a lot of traveling and just spending a lot of the time together, which has been like amazing. My dream.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. And Justin, we can keep going on and on, but I'm just looking at the time, and we definitely dwell into the quick rounds. These are going to be quick questions, quick answers. You ready, sir?
Let's do it.
All right. First question: what makes you, Justin, unique? What is that differentiating factor that separates you from the next guy or the next girl?
It's a good question. Quick answer. I would say that I feel that I have a good base, and I can, separate personal and professional and kind of go on both sides. And I'm very empathetic. So I always want to naturally, I feel for people. So I look at it at different angles and not just from my point of view. So I would say that's probably one thing. If I thought about it a little bit more, I could probably come up with others, but I'd say that one.
Cool. Second question: what was the last book that you read, and what was the one thing you picked out from that book?
So as I'm getting more into tech, and I don't have a background on big tech, I've been reading a lot of books on just tech. So the last book that I read was Product-Led Sales, and the ability to make sure that you're not overselling something and not committing to that when they get in your product. So basically not just overvaluing and saying that you're going to have all these different functions and features, and then somebody gets into your product and they're like, well, that's not even close to what you were offering.
Interesting. All right. Final question: what do you do for fun? I think you mentioned it a little bit, but yeah, what do you do for fun?
Yeah, it's been traveling. Traveling has been definitely, a passion that we've grown into, and we bought an RV, so we do a ton of RVing. So that's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
That's awesome. If there's somebody, maybe a brand new investor, thinking, wow, geez, I love this platform. Like how can folks reach out to you or get to know more about Invelo?
Yeah, so they can go to inveloapp.com. It's INVELO app.com. So they can check that out there. Or they can shoot me a email at justin@inveloapp.com.
Justin, you're an absolute legend. Appreciate you. Thank you.